Mr. Wu has been a senior administration official at both the federal and state government levels and a congressional staff member. He has a distinguished record of service at the highest levels of government. A former U.S. Department of Commerce and DBED executive, that's the Department of Business and Economic Development in Maryland, Mr. Wu has developed several strategic plans to promote Maryland's innovation economy, including the state's current roadmap for the life sciences and cybersecurity industries. He has a substantive record of forging successful public-private partnerships to drive scientific research and development in the state, and has collaborated successfully with Maryland's industry, academia, federal, state, and local governments to accelerate technology-led economic development and solidify our state's high-tech performance. Mr. Wu previously served as the Maryland Assistant Secretary of Business and Economic Development and Senior Technology Policy Advisor, as well as the U.S. Deputy Undersecretary of Commerce for Technology and the U.S. Assistant Secretary for Technology Policy. At the U.S. Department of Commerce, Mr. Wu served as the Chief Operating Officer for the more than 3,000-employee, $500 million bureau that includes the National Institute of Standards and Technology in Gaithersburg. In addition, he was counsel for former Maryland Congresswoman Connie Morella and the Technology Subcommittee of the House Science Committee. So, we are incredibly honored that he's here to speak with us, and please join me in welcoming Mr. Wu.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Dr. Prasad. I rushed over here from Baltimore, and as I was walking outside to my car, I remembered how chilly it has been over the course of the past several days. And a friend of mine was telling me when she was running the Boston Marathon just on Monday that there is still snow in Boston from the over 25 feet, of snow that they had this winter, which led Jimmy Fallon to note that the guy from 50 Shades of Grey had to take the chains off of his girlfriend and put them on his tires because it snowed so much in Boston. Well, it really is a pleasure to be here. Brian Castleberry from the Department of Business and Economic Development, Brian, when he first approached me with this opportunity to speak to all of you as part of a cyber-sponsored event, I thought about how there was this poll that was taken not too long ago in which they said the number one biggest fear that people have is public speaking. Number two was death, which led Jerry Seinfeld to note that at a funeral, people would rather be in the casket than outside of the casket. But I've got no fears talking to you today because you're a very friendly crowd and all very receptive to the message that I want to send and share with you today. The biggest fear I have, though, is our nation's ability to compete and our state's ability to compete. As Dr. Prasad said, I spent my whole professional career working on competitiveness issues for our nation in Congress and also in the previous presidential administration, and then for our state, trying to make Maryland one of the most competitive states in our country. And we have a lot of challenges globally and even domestically. And the hope is that by working together in partnership, we can help drive Maryland's economic growth through innovation and entrepreneurship, and also, by extension, promote the United States' competitiveness worldwide. The key message that I want to send to you today for all of you entrepreneurs, and first let me ask you, how many people here are students? And how many people are faculty? That's terrific to know, because students should be thinking entrepreneurially, and faculty should be thinking entrepreneurially too. That's how they do it in Silicon Valley. That's how they do it in Route 28 up in Boston. And that's the kind of culture we're trying to promote, that the best technology, the best innovations that come out of our region can be found at our academic institutions. And for students to think entrepreneurially as they take their courses, for faculty to help energize the students and give them the seeds of entrepreneurship, but also to be able to utilize the students in a way that's collaborative, in a way that can be effective, allows the collective knowledge of all the faculty to be able to be used as yet another tool in our arsenal to be innovative and entrepreneurship. And so the key message for both the faculty and the students is that a vibrant startup culture is taking shape right now around the nation and around Maryland, and also to be charitable to Virginia and DC regionally as well. And the opportunities, if you want to benefit from them and also overcome the challenges, the startups must think globally from the very inception, actually even before it's conceived. As you're thinking of the idea, the germ of the idea, you need to start thinking globally. Fortunately, for those of you in the University of Maryland system, you have already great tools to do so. You have the Smith School. You have a terrific leader in President Lowe who believes and understands the importance of entrepreneurship and having that infused throughout the curriculum. You have great alumni like Kevin Plank who took a idea and is now 209th most richest man in the world. And for numbers 208, 207, and 206, my advice to them is watch your footsteps or watch your back, because Kevin is coming. And he's got a lot of new ideas to even grow his businesses, not just at Under Armour, but also in the transformation of Baltimore through the Sagamore development, even developing a distillery at Port Covington, where the new Under Armour headquarters will be located. And he continues to think globally, and he continues to think entrepreneurially. And I think for those of you who participated in the Cupid's Cup this past week, you may have heard Kevin very enthusiastically underscore that message as well. So in Maryland, we're trying to do all that we can to support the work that you're doing at the University of Maryland and to support the possibilities, the dreams that all of you have in developing startups and developing and nurturing your entrepreneurial hopes and aspirations. But we can do better, and we know that. The Governor Hogan has made within his administration, that's top administration priority, is making Maryland more competitive, growing our economy, taking economic development to new levels, and creating more jobs so that it can sustain a greater revenue base for our state that allows us to make the investments in education, in healthcare, and provide the services that are so important for the citizens of our state. But the governor also knows very clearly that the economic policies that he's trying to promote for economic growth aren't just on the attraction and retention end, not just helping Maryland companies within the borders of our state, but also, or trying to attract companies from other states to Maryland. That in order for Maryland's economy to truly grow, we have to go beyond the water's edge, that we have to be engaged internationally. And that means helping our companies and our citizens with trying to get and attract direct foreign investment into Maryland from international companies and from around the world. Also helping to promote Maryland exports to areas around the world internationally. And also helping to continue to brand Maryland as the international epicenter that we believe we are. We have such great assets in Maryland on the international front. We have some of the top worldwide multinational companies, Lockheed Martin, Under Armour, and Marriott, just to name a few. Additionally, we have our federal resources with the National Institutes of Health, National Institutes of Standards and Technology, the National Security Administration, NASA Goddard. We have the Pentagon in very close proximity, all of which are world famous and provide a great source of research and collaboration opportunities for those who want to be entrepreneurs. So on the international front, the governor is rededicating the international trade, export, and attraction efforts as part of his new administration. And did you know that in Maryland, the international trade supports nearly 800,000 jobs, more than 25% of our workforce, but only 3% of our companies are actively promoting their products overseas and services overseas. And imagine if we could double that to 6%, how much growth that could mean for our state's economy. And so we hope to change that. We can change that, and we must change that for Maryland and also for our nation's competitiveness as well. So in this increasingly competitive economy in which everybody is globally connected and we're hyper-connected in real time with disruptive technologies changing our modes of business on a daily, weekly, and yearly basis, we really must continue to be vigilant and continue to innovate in order to be as competitive as we can. And we must remain vigilant also because as Anil Gupta has said, India and China are also being as competitive and vigilant in their efforts to improve their nations and their economies as well. So we're not just competing with the other 49 states around the United States. We're also competing with countries like India and China, who are both trying to surpass the United States as the fastest growing economy in the world. So with that in mind, I want to talk to you a little bit about what we're doing in Maryland and to allow me to explain how we can provide services for you as you think globally and entrepreneurially so that we can harness our assets and also continue to expand Maryland's global footprint. Last year, Maryland's exports rose to a record $12.2 billion, with countries like Canada, China, Egypt, and the United Kingdom as our largest markets. Today, more than 7,300 businesses export from Maryland, which helps support 55,000 U.S. jobs. One of our biggest economic engines is the Port of Baltimore, which I just left. And the Port of Baltimore just announced that it had a record year in 2014, handling more cars than any other U.S. port. And the Port of Baltimore's general cargo also totaled a record 9.7 million tons. BWI Airport in Maryland is also a great asset, and soon it will undergo a facelift that will allow for more international service. And Maryland companies like McCormick and Under Armour, as I mentioned before, are also entering more and more foreign markets. They're targeting the growing middle class in the Asia-Pacific region, and they are finding that there's a robust market and attraction for their goods and products. We also need to continue this progress, which is why it's essential that we give businesses the tools, the resources, and the support to boost overseas participation and partnerships with not just one or two countries, but dozens. At our Maryland Department of Business and Economic Development, we have a team of experts like Brian and others in our Office of International Trade who can help businesses of any size navigate some of the obstacles with going global. Because we know that it's difficult at times to learn a foreign language, foreign customs, and to understand the regulations that are in place in each of these countries. And so we try to connect businesses with the right distributors, suppliers, or foreign government decision makers so that you can be successful. And Brian in our Office of International Trade has a team that can talk you through the process and be of some assistance. And they work very closely with our USIAC in Baltimore, the United States Export Center, Export Assistance Center. And Bill Burwell, who you'll be hearing from shortly, has been a longtime veteran of supporting the Maryland companies in their global efforts as a member of the United States Department of Commerce Foreign Commercial Service team. And one of our key resources that we have is a very popular Export Maryland program that provides up to $5,000 grant to help businesses connect with new clients and new opportunities in international markets. And you'll also be hearing a little bit later on when Bill moderates a panel from some of these recipients of Export Maryland, and they can explain to you how they've utilized their grant and some of their strategies as they explore international markets. And this program, the Export Maryland program, has helped dozens of businesses every year attend trade shows and market their products and services overseas. And we also work with Bill and the U.S. Export Assistance Center in Baltimore, which controls or oversees the Maryland region for businesses to help educate Maryland companies on how to access foreign markets and develop export potentials for their products. At our Maryland Department of Business and Economic Development, we have 12 foreign offices around the globe with dedicated staff to help Maryland businesses access and enter new markets in countries such as China, India, and Brazil, just to name a few. And we also market Maryland globally through a number of international trade shows like the Paris Air Show and Medica and others, which allows Maryland companies to be exposed to other international potential partners as well. And we've hosted a number of events as well to promote Maryland internationally. Just last month, President Obama hosted the Select USA conference right here, or right over there in Maryland, over at the National Harbor. And it was a terrific opportunity for the president to be able to send the right message to international companies that the United States is open for investment, which mirrors the same message that Governor Hogan has, that Maryland is open for business and invites international companies to make their investments in our state. And we've also co-hosted with the U.S. Foreign Commercial Service a number of day-long seminars and forums to try to help educate companies and expose them to the potentials and the possibilities of trying to market themselves internationally. I think our efforts have been paying off. In the past decade, we've attracted more than 130 direct foreign investment projects, representing a total of $4 billion and nearly 8,500 new jobs. And these companies represent industries like software, IT, biotech, and pharmaceutical, and business and financial services. And for foreign companies that are looking to try to gain a foothold into the United States market, one of the best venues to do so is over at College Park, at the International Incubator at the University of Maryland, College Park. And that incubator began in 2009 as a collaboration between the University of Maryland and the Maryland Department of Business and Economic Development. And over the years, the International Incubator has helped launch more than 30 foreign-owned ventures in the state from countries like China, Korea, Russia, and just most recently, Israel. And many of these firms are part of larger companies as well, such as Glodon, which is a Chinese-based company that develops construction project management software. And while Gloden is a major company in China, where its stock is publicly traded and employs over 3,000 employees, it had no American presence until they came to Maryland, opened up their office at College Park in the incubator, and created a United States subsidiary with the incubator's help. And while other companies are much smaller, such as Vita Scientific, a biomedical supply company that sells specialized laboratory testing equipment in the incubator's basement building, the number of businesses, both large and small, now boasts 10 companies, and I understand that there will be more companies. There are 4 new companies that are being inked to move into the incubator. So it's a terrific story, terrific partnership between Maryland, the state, and the University of Maryland. So as we continue to look internationally, we ask you to look internationally, but the governor is also thinking and looking internationally as well. The governor will be engaging next month on his very first international trade mission as governor. That trade mission will be going to China, Japan, and Korea. And it's designed to promote the message that Maryland is open for business on an international scale. We'll be, I don't want to give away too much because I want to reserve the announcements for the governor, and they'll be timed with the trade mission at the end of May. But we have some major projects, direct foreign investment projects that we believe has the potential to transform our state and also transform Baltimore in a way that will be very dramatic. And additionally, we'll be highlighting some of the new efforts that are being undertaken. There's a Dominion Cove Point liquid natural gas facility that will be exporting the liquefied natural gas over to Japan and India, 80% going to Japan, 20% going to India. And that will help with Japan's national energy security, especially after their recent nuclear disaster that has curtailed a number of their energy outputs on the nuclear front. And on Wednesday, Japanese Prime Minister Abe will be coming on a state visit to meet with President Obama, and he'll be meeting with Governor Hogan to continue that dialogue and also to send his appreciation for the efforts that Maryland is undertaking to assist Japan. And then when we go over to Japan, there will be a similar event in Japan with hosted by the Prime Minister. The trade mission will also highlight a number of small companies in Maryland that are thinking globally, not just locally, but globally, and to partner with some of the major international corporations in the Asia-Pacific region. For example, we have one company, Cyber Reliant, that is providing software. They entered into a contractual agreement with Samsung to provide some of the security features for the Samsung phones, which are the top-selling phones in the world. We also will be highlighting the efforts of Lockheed Martin. The CEO will be going over to Korea with us. Korea just purchased most recently a large shipment of Lockheed Martin Joint Strike Fighter planes that and Lockheed Martin, headquartered in Bethesda, that's a very important company for the state, but it also signifies the importance of what Maryland is doing to help the bilateral relationships between the United States and the Asia-Pacific nations as well. So there'll be a number of deliverables from this trade mission. I urge you to stay tuned, but this will be yet another step to underscore the fact that for Maryland, for Governor Hogan, and for our economy, that we must utilize all of our assets in partnership with each other to not just think locally, but also think globally, to work together with our very strong academic institutions to support the efforts that President Lowe has made and the University of Maryland has made to get students to think entrepreneurially so that they can develop ideas, create businesses that will eventually employ our citizens and help provide us a greater revenue base for us to do all the good things that we hope that government can do. So once again, I want to thank you all for inviting me here today. It's been a real pleasure. I have time for questions if you would like some, or we can just move straight to Bill and his panel, whatever.
Maybe a couple of questions.
Okay, okay, sure. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to entertain them. But thank you very much for your attention and your participation here today. Cyber is such a great forum for discussions and for people to come together and to stimulate new ideas. And it's a perfect venue and a perfect opportunity for us to continue to promote Maryland's innovation and economic growth. So thank you. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to take them.
Thank you very much, Secretary Wood. That was some great insights. So I'm Kenny Crowell. I'm with Center for Health Information Decision Systems at the University of Maryland. So if you were advising a entrepreneurial startup company or a student organization who is looking to sort of launch their concept or brand internationally, what would be sort of the maybe top couple things you think that they would need to do, and what are some of the top couple things that you see people make mistakes on that they could potentially do better in order to be competitive and expanding internationally as an entrepreneurial organization?
Ken, did you say for a student or just someone in general?
For what could be a student-based venture or an entrepreneurial venture for non-students as well?
Well, yeah, I don't know how many of you guys, this is a relatively young crowd, so I don't know how many of you seen the movie The Graduate. The Graduate was a 1967 movie that was Dustin Hoffman's cinematic debut. And in the opening scene of the movie, after having just graduated from college, he gets pulled around to his graduation party, and one of his family friends grabs him and says, "I got one word for you, one word." And in 1967, that word was plastics. But Ken, in response to your question, I'll say that I've got one word for all of you. And that's another P word, but it's not plastics, it's partnerships. I'm a big believer in partnerships. I think that whether or not you want to do domestic or international business, being able to find the right partner, being able to leverage resources that your partner may have, and being able to share the risk is vitally important, especially on the international front. To be able to enter into a new market that you know nothing about, that oftentimes may speak a foreign language. They have a regulatory system that's sometimes geared to not be supportive of market access for United States companies, that has a culture of doing business that may be different. It's almost imperative that you find a local partner that can help guide you and navigate you through the process. We at the state, through our Office of International Trade and our offices overseas, can help provide those services. We don't necessarily have all the answers, because a lot of that, as an entrepreneur or someone who's trying to start a business, a lot of that has to be placed back on the innovators and the entrepreneurs themselves. But we can help at least try to guide you through that process, not necessarily as a partner, but as a Sherpa. But if you think that you want to enter into that market a little more forcefully, I would suggest trying to look for a good partner. It got to in certain markets, it's almost a requirement. In China, for example, you have to have, in certain industries, a joint venture requirement, so you have to find a local partner. But in other countries, it's not as rigid. But it's something that I think when you think globally, having a good global partner or a good local partner can make life so much easier and make your project and your venture so much more successful.